Hi, everyone. Hi, all the Rainbow Warrior women. I'm delighted to have you all here for our this week's one-to-one with Nicole, and absolutely thrilled to have Nicole sitting chatting with me. I'm so looking forward to this because we met last week only actually through Michelle Coy on her business kind of empowerment women group on Zoom last Friday only. And we really connected and we've been chatting since, and we just had this amazing connection. So I've asked her on to come on and talk to us this week for our one-to-one because she's got an amazing business called Make Up Your what's it called again?
Make Up Your Power.
Make Up Your Power. I was trying to remember exactly what it was. Make Up Your Power. So it's about empowering women through the makeup and also kind of therapy in the same time and everything. So it's a really amazing idea. So Michelle, would you like to introduce yourself to the group and just kind of give a little bit of a background around like how did all this passion for empowering women through makeup come about? Because it's an amazing idea. I really love it.
Well, thank you. Absolutely. So I'm Nicole Lynn. I'm originally from Connecticut. It really started at a very young age. I was always very big in empowering people. It was just something that I just always had. I grew up kind of in a harder lifestyle of being able to be that way, but it was still within me and it was just needing to burst out. So I always knew from a young age that I was going to make a change for people, one way or the other. And then I just did it through being creative. I always loved drawing. I loved coloring, stuff like that. There wasn't a doll that I didn't have that I didn't cut their hair, do their makeup, change their clothes. I just always had an eye for any girls that I was friends with, just always making them feel better. And I noticed that people open up more when they're getting pampered.
Yes.
So that kind of really helped me to start building off of that, because I was like, okay, because it's natural. It's not like I'm just sitting in front of you saying, okay, what's this? What's going on here, girl? Tell me the scoop, do this. It gets a little more non-authentic. But when I'm just working on them, it's just kind of like, oh, so what brought you here? Oh, so, and then you just kind of connect the dots and then go from there.
Oh, I absolutely love that. Actually, Nicole, it's so funny because my mom is a hairdresser. And, I kind of, and my dad was a psychiatric nurse and she was very creative, really into style and fashion and everything like that. So I ended up being a graphic designer, but I loved the kind of that side of like beautifying people, beautifying things, like, interior design, graphic design, everything. And I suppose fashion and stuff like that. But then kind of went into the kind of interior then, like, I suppose my dad was all like the mental health and all the understanding of that. And then I went into mindfulness and so trying to combine the both. What was funny because my mom actually has cancer at the moment, and well, she's actually at the 4th stage of it, and I'm starting to do her hair. And it was so amazing because actually the last time I was down with her, I started just, putting her color in her hair. And I just thought to myself, oh my God, this is amazing, because it felt like, I thought like it's a great way of talking to people and getting like, it's like you're giving them care, but you can also talk some like a therapy type thing, and I'm just exactly understand what you're talking about. Like, it kind of puts them into that state that they can be comfortable and safe to kind of start to unwind and kind of talk about things, and especially when you're kind of not connected to family and stuff. I'm sure you get lots of, I suppose people maybe confide in you more than they would other people. Yeah.
A lot. I've realized that as they're getting made up on the outside, they're breaking barriers on the inside.
Wow.
And the more that we're making them feel pretty and beautiful and empowered on the outside, you start to see that they almost want to push out anything that was negative inside because they're feeling so beautiful. So they don't want any negativity inside. So they kind of just release that. And it's beautiful because there's not a single person that I've interacted with it that what did not happen.
That is amazing. I absolutely love that. I'll tell you why, because I love words and I have that thing about words. Because I feel like when I talk to people and I use the words how I see them, even though if they don't see themselves that way, it kind of starts to make them kind of like, I call it painting a picture inside their mind, like, so if you paint a beautiful picture, when I speak to somebody like, because the way you have that kind of intuitiveness about their essence, So I can kind of get like a feeling about something really beautiful about them, and I start talking to that, and then it kind of connects with them. But it's like starting to beautify their interior, you know. And like that, that's so amazing that people start to push out what they don't want. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, well, because a lot of the times they're like, well, what got you into this? And I said, mainly empowering women was the hugest thing. I've always felt that was my purpose, and how I was going to do that, I was never quite sure. I just knew that I was always pulled towards it. And then I realized that it was more comfortable when it was just naturally happening versus like it's nice to go in to see a therapist and, you know, let everything out. But you know that when you're going in, that's what's happening. When you're going to get pampered, you're going in just to relax, feel pretty, whatever that it may look like. So it's a surprise every time when you realize that you left lighter and you're not carrying something that could have been a childhood trauma or something that was, you know, ingrained in you at a young age. And you kind of walk with that extra, like, okay, I got this. I'm beautiful. Because they'll say to me, how were you able to do this? You're just a magician. I said, because you opened that door to let me in so I can create magic. Because magic can only exist if you're willing to see it, right? And that magic, what they don't realize is within them, and they let that out when they sit in the chair and they become vulnerable.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. I absolutely love that. And how do you sense it with somebody that when they sit with you that they're open enough to talking about things, or is there anything kind of that you do to kind of relax people into that, or is it just, you know, depending on the client and such, you know?
There's a couple different things. One thing that I've noticed is I have people that come into my path that are meant to, for whatever reason that may be. So I always try to keep myself open to that. So that way, whoever comes in, they receive what they're meant to, whatever, again, that may look like. So they're nervous. I always get them with the nervousness, because there's not a person that doesn't sit down that's not, you know, with some of the sessions, because they're going to be photographed, a lot of people that I work for. So they're coming in with like, oh my God, I'm not a model. I'm not famous. I'm not this, I'm not that.
Okay.
So that's the first approach that I make is sit down, get comfortable, feel like a Kardashian. This is your moment. This is your day. And be excited at the fact that today you decided to put yourself first. And then I go from there.
Excellent. Oh, I love that. And is the service at the end that you photograph them for themselves, or is it as if, is it that they might need a professional, or you're preparing them for a professional photographer, or how does that work into it?
So I work with many photographers. A lot of them do boudoir, which is considered a woman's bedroom, but really what it's doing on a collectively huge level right now is women that are stepping into their power. They want the empowerment. And the biggest thing that women have always dealt with is hiding who they were. Cover that up, keep that quiet, keep that to yourself. So what's absolutely beautiful about this enormous, like everybody is wanting to do these sessions, is that they know that if they can unveil that, that there's going to be no confusion. You're not going to tell me different than what I know I am, kind of thing after. So that's what's beautiful. And I work really closely with all these photographers that their main goal too is empowering women at every stage of your life. No matter what color skin, no matter what background, no matter what size you are, it does not matter. If you decided to make this appointment, it means that you were ready to empower yourself. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that you unleash that.
That is so amazing. I love that. And I've seen some of those photographs actually a few years ago. I think I watched a program about it or something, but it was like that. Yeah, like the idea of, I love the idea of, like, I think a lot of women have that unworthiness feeling inside them. And it doesn't matter how they look on the outside. Like I actually was talking about this in one of the Diamond Mothering interviews, I think, that like, it didn't matter to me at one stage when people give me loads of compliments, and I would just not, it wouldn't make any difference, because it couldn't get through that barrier that I had built up around myself. So in that kind of way that you had, it was impermeable, like, because it has to come from within. You have to kind of start to be able to see your own beauty. You have to be able to kind of, it's an internal job. Like it doesn't matter what people
Yes.
kind of, so it's like, when you, I can imagine how powerful that would be to be able to help women see their own beauty and accept themselves as they are, like it's a gorgeous thing you're doing.
Well,
Amazing.
thank you. It's like seeing another version of yourself is what I like to tell people.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of me covering something up. It's a matter of me enhancing something that you covered up.
Yeah.
Because if you aren't doing the inner work, no amount of makeup is going to change that.
Yeah.
And that's what I always try to let people know. And I have been empowered by some of the most amazing women over these past few years, especially, that it's almost like addicting to not want to keep empowering and keep just a commodity of women versus, oh, she's catty, or oh, this, or she's trying to one up. It's no longer about that. If you change your mindset, then you'll realize that it's not about that. Women are just honest to women. And if you're not ready to hear that or receive that,
Yeah.
then that's where the cattiness can come in. But if you're ready to know that we're going to be honest with you, there's
Yeah.
a constructive way and an unconstructive way of doing it though, too. So that's why it's very beautiful to be able to have this, because still to this day, there's not a day that doesn't go by that in one way or another, a post, social media content, your videos, our meeting that we happen to cross paths in, where I don't get empowered and inspired by a woman.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. And the more that we're stepping into our power, it's absolutely amazing, because then what happens is it helps, I feel, for the masculine energy to be able to be comfortable in that space as well.
Absolutely.
And that's really important. So it's not a matter of being a feminist. It's more about the more that we build ourselves up, the more confidence we have, the more we shed that ego and step into our power and our light, the more that the men feel more safe in being able to do that exact same thing, because they're seeing us being able to do it.
Yeah, I absolutely love that, actually, because I just mentioned that, I think it was only last week in an interview, and then I said it to your fiance, I think, about the divine masculine, because like it's all about the divine feminine, but I'm like, you can't, they're symbiotic, because everything's connected. So when the divine feminine comes, it allows for the divine masculine to come in, allows them to kind of come into keep their strength, but bring in their compassion as well, and then the women bring their femininity forward, but in a strong way. That's the kind of balance that we're looking for, and it's actually a lot about
Yes.
the kind of veils, like, it's funny, actually, even just the conversation about makeup, just the different opinions that women have about makeup. Like, the way, if you probably understand this far more than anybody else, but some women judge other women for wearing makeup, some judge other women for not wearing makeup, some women wear a lot of makeup to cover up, other women wear makeup because they just love it, and they just want to enhance what they have, and they just enjoy it, they see it as a creative thing. Other women don't have to wear makeup because they love not wearing makeup, so it's like, where are you coming from? It's really there, it's how you're feeling about yourself is the thing, isn't it?
That's what I was just going to say. It's the internal journey. So every one of those things, what they all have in common is based on the internal perception in their reality.
Yeah.
Because in reality, if you think about it, if you take the gender out of it, we all embody feminine and masculine energy.
Yes.
We're just figuring out now how to balance the two of them, because we come into this and, some of us will have more masculine, doesn't matter if you're female or male. And there's males that can carry more of the feminine energy. But what's beautiful about what's happening now is we're starting to intertwine that and be okay with our masculine energy, and realizing that the masculine energy and the feminine energy, when they coincide, what beautiful balance and harmony that it can create.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I love the idea, though, of even personally, like myself, my own journey with that has gone from in my younger days, I probably didn't wear that much makeup. Now I probably wear more, but I'm enjoying it more. Where before, maybe in my 30s, maybe my late 20s, I would have felt I had to wear makeup. But so the relationship with myself has changed so much, you know, the way, and when you get to a stage where now I just like, I love just the colors and the shimmer and the, you know, the bit of glitter, and you know, it's just like, it's a fun thing, you know, like it's just something that kind of adds a little glitz or something, and it makes, you know, it's adding, like, you know, like I suppose when you feel good in yourself, everything else is a plussed onto you, you know. It's not like you're trying to fill yourself from, you know, from the outside in, we'll say, you know. It's a different way of looking at it, isn't it?
Oh yeah, because now you're impressing yourself. You're not worried about impressing anybody else. You're wanting to impress you. And makeup is just the same as anybody who wants to work out every day. Anybody who wants to color their hair, anybody who wants to wear a certain hairstyle, wear certain clothes. It's not a matter of being, you know, materialistic or anything like that. It's just a matter of having fun with what is around us and what makes us feel good. At the end of the day, it's a matter of what makes you feel good. If it makes you feel good to write a lightning bolt across your forehead,
Yeah,
more power to you. If that, you know what I mean? If that's what enhances you. If you want to wear fake ears, okay, cool. Like, let's enhance that. Let's have fun with it. Let's not be stuck in that it has to be this way and that's it. Because there's a whole cycle of fun stuff out there that is at our disposal, and makeup, I feel, is one of them. I do makeup every single day. I still keep myself very natural when I wear it, just because that's just what I want to do.
yeah.
But depending on the session, you know, I have some people who want like the biggest lashes, the biggest glam, to some people who just want to pop a color on the lip and a soft eyes. But at the end of it, what I want for them is what is it that you want to see, not what you're thinking everybody else wants to see. What is it that you want to see? So what I always ask for beforehand is a bare face picture and inspiration pictures, because I like to connect before I meet them.
Okay.
And that helps me to get kind of an idea of what they're like, and I conversate with them, and I build kind of a relationship, usually, if I'm able to, with them or the photographer. Like, that's kind of like part of my shtick, is that I'm like, I need a bare face pic, I need some inspo pics, give me a little background on them, because I don't want them to feel like I'm just coming in and doing a job. I want them to feel like when they're coming in, they're coming into their time to shine.
Excellent. So personal and kind of unique, isn't it? You know, it's like that diamond in the rough we were talking about. Yeah.
It's so true. And it's so funny, because
Yeah.
I really went through a lot. Like, for me personally, I had to chip away pretty hard at my own insecurities to really, you know, be able to get to this point of empowerment. Because when we empower ourselves, then we can empower other people. But what was great is that I was able to chip away or peel back the onion, because there were women out there that empowered me. You know what I mean? So even though I had it internally, like there was that voice in there, there was also a lot of gunk buildup from my childhood that was kind of like pushing that down. And then I had women be like, not everybody is always going to connect with you, and that's okay. You're not always going to be the right person for everybody, and that's okay. Keep it moving, because you're doing the right thing, and it will just keep coming, because the jobs come to me. Advertising wise, my only means of advertising I do is for the client that I just had. I'm very big on, and I love this, making videos for every client that I have, like whether it's a TikTok. I spend a lot of time trying to edit like a before picture, maybe why they came in, to the process of them getting ready, their finishing picture, the moment when they see themselves, how they get, what they think, what they feel. And I have photographers that will record that reaction when they're looking at themselves. And then to see them, boom, see them one picture of what the shot was like that they got done. And I like to put that little story together, because to me, that's what it's about. You're not just coming in and getting some pictures done. You're not just coming in and just getting some makeup and hair done. You're coming in and walking out a completely different person. So let's showcase that in a little video for you that you can kind of carry with you, like those photos down the road.
Oh my God, that's beautiful. Actually, it's like a transformation, like an inner transformation, really. Like I'm just thinking of the butterfly with, you know, the chrysalis and the butterfly. It's like you're bringing them through a kind of a process you know,
Yeah,
an inner,
metamorphosis.
yeah, like a process. And how long does it take usually to do the whole thing?
So it depends if they just get makeup. And I also do like makeup lessons where I go to the house and I have them have other girls there because
Yeah,
I want it to be the girl time, you know.
yeah.
But it can vary. If I'm doing like simple curling hair, which I usually do with the makeup process, it's usually about an hour 15 to an hour and a half. If I'm just doing makeup, it's about 45 minutes. But for me, the crazy thing about it is that I don't like to put a timer on it. Obviously, for the photographer and me doing this for so long, you repetition, right? It gets quicker and quicker as you
Mm.
go.
Mhm.
But if I'm done working on you and we're still talking, I'm still going to keep talking to you. Like
Okay.
if there's still a little bit more, because I want to make sure that when those pictures will show if you're insecure, they'll show if you're carrying baggage, and no amount of redirection from a photographer or anything
Mhm.
else will change that if you're feeling insecure. So
Mm.
it's important for me energetically, because you know you can sense it off people too.
Mm.
It's important for me to make sure that there's this level, it's kind of funny, this level of feeling that I get inside, that I
Mm.
know where they're at, to be
Mm.
like when you send your child to school for the first time,
Mm.
like, okay, I'm ready for you to do this. Now you're ready. That's
Yes.
kind of how I
Yeah,
look
there's
at
a
it.
readiness. Yeah, there is a, that's so, I love that. That's brilliant actually, because there is a readiness in the kind of a knowingness about timing, isn't there? I always feel like that as
Mhm.
well. Like, you know, the way you got this, I always call it like the Zen circle, you know, like I always feel like it's like as if something was started and then it needed to come to full fruition. And then when it comes to the end of a cycle or something, you just go, that's time. It's time now. And you know when it's getting close, and then you know when it's like, that's it. It's time. And that's why
Yeah.
I live off that, you know. And I actually think that's the Mother Earth energy, you know, that's like because when you're connected to the earth, you know,
Mhm.
the inspiration comes from above, but the actual timing that cycles and that kind of that knowingness is definitely like kind of a Mother Earth kind of, you know, female force thing, isn't it? You know, like it's just there's a kind of, yeah, it's amazing actually. And I love meeting people who have that because you know the way we, it's so prevalent for me. So it's just like I could feel that off you in our interview. I think, you know, that there's kind of a, there's like a sisterhood kind of vibe or something that comes across, like, you know, that, you know, when somebody can kind of tune into that as well, like, you know. And can you, I'd love to hear a little bit about, like, you know, you're so connected like that. Like, where did that, like when you were a child, or you remember being always like that, or where did that kind of, you know, your first, the
Always.
first time, can you remember like connection feeling or
Well, okay. So the first time it was a deep moment. It was kind of a hard moment
yeah.
that I really felt an intense connection was when my mother passed when I was 7.
No, okay.
So before she passed, I knew something was going to happen. She was never there. She wasn't sick. It was anything like that. It was a
Mm,
very abrupt. And that's something that I still carry with me to this day that I have. Um, but I always held on to, no matter what I was going through growing up, I always held on to the moments that I did have with my mom, and the fact that she worked 3 jobs. She was funnier than heck all the time. She was always loving. She never, no matter what anybody was going through, she was always very supportive. So just me remembering that at such a young age really was something that I felt when she passed that she put into me. So
yeah.
as you say, you know, as above, so below, that's what I've always felt when it came to her. Now, then when in the household that I grew up in, if people were upset, angry, going to cry, anything like that, I actually would express their emotions, which kind of made people very uncomfortable.
Okay.
Um, but I couldn't help it. I could feel
Yeah.
it. I always could just feel it. And it was always a matter of how can I make them feel better? What it's meant, whether it's making them laugh, redirecting it, if they need to talk it out. I was always very good and open to
Mm,
whatever they had to say. And people always just opened up to me,
mhm.
complete strangers. And they would always say to me, I don't know why I'm telling you all this right now. And I said, why question it? Do you feel better?
Yeah.
Then it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter why you're doing it. If you're doing it and you feel better, then it was meant, that's what it was meant for. And that's why I feel like if I didn't work through my own inner turmoil that I had going on, then, oh my God, what a terrible thing that would be for how many people I could actually be able to help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where I was like, okay, we have to do this work, because I'm now having women around me that are making sure, hey, how are you doing? Hey, do you want to do this? And I started being more like, instead of afraid and no, I don't want to, I became more of a yes person, but a
Mm.
yes person based on how I felt. Because, you know, if you say yes to everything, then you can miss out on something that maybe you're meant for.
Yes.
And that really helped me, because I never had that, where
Yeah.
women were so like, let's come up together. It wasn't a competition.
Yeah.
That's what was huge, is it wasn't a competition. And then I started realizing I don't need to compete with anybody but myself. What do I want to keep striding for?
Mm.
And my strides all involve impacting and empowering women. And I know that the biggest thing that helps them to do it is pampering, because as they're pampering, that means that they're taking time out to do for them, instead of their children, instead of their spouse, instead of their job, instead of anybody else. So, you know, in that moment that they're more open to
Yes.
receiving.
Yeah. And it's like they're being taken out of the role, you know, like that's a big thing for women, I think. You know, I was talking about that recently as well, that, you know, the kind of trying to find your sense of yourself, that feeling of your own essence is a lot to do with, like, you know, setting your roles aside, like, you know, like, because women are so responsible, you know, for, you know, being a sister, being a mother, being a, you know, daughter, you know, being a wife, whatever, you know, you need to kind of set those aside to try and get to who you actually are, your own truth.
Mhm.
So like maybe when they're in that chair and they're kind of, they they have a moment where they can set their roles aside, you know, like the roles that they play in the world, you know, so because they're going around the whole time in their head thinking they're a role, you know, I'm a role, I'm not, you know, and even their job is another role. Like what, where are they
Mhm.
underneath that? Like where is it the feeling of their own essence, you know? And that to me is like a beautiful feeling, you know. So if you're kind of beautifying somebody, then it's kind of, you're making them feel beautiful, so they're actually starting to feel into their own essence, you know, like it's an opportunity for them to have that space to do that, you know.
Oh, exactly. Because in all reality, when they're sitting there and they're unveiling themselves to me,
Yeah.
they start talking about, like you said, all of those roles, but not being, I'm just a mom, or I just have kids.
Yeah.
It's almost like they get excited and they start tallying up like all of their awesomeness. Like, yeah, I'm a mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can work
Yeah.
full time. Yeah, I have kids. Yeah, I do this. Yeah, I do that. And it almost becomes more exciting because they're able to look at it from the outside versus how we are every
Okay.
day with being in it.
Oh, brilliant. So it gives them like their, yeah, I love that. Actually, that's brilliant. So they're actually not, they're outside of the roles, rather they're looking in
Mhm.
at their own life. Yeah.
Reflection.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I love just visualizing that, because at the end of the day, I suppose I'm artistic as well. So I'm always kind of painting pictures to understand things as you're talking. I can kind of, I'm imagining that in my head. Like that's amazing. And like, because it's hard to kind of get to that feeling, I think, in such a busy life. And like, you know, when you're very connected as well, I think it's a journey back to that, isn't there? You know, because like even when you're saying from like the age of 7 to where you are now, like did you find that a difficult journey back to, you know, finding this, you know, like, because we all go down different paths, and a lot sometimes, you know, just to kind of please other people or please society, or we kind of harden up to cover that up, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten to points in my life, you know, it could be another time because it could get real deep. And I shared it with you, where I was, because of that connection that I had, you know, you feel like you could save everybody. You can help
Yes.
everybody because you have this knowing. So you feel like, I got the solution for you. What is your problem? Okay, I got the solution for you. But
Mm.
then what happened is they can have the solution, but when they weren't acting that solution out, and then still, I'm in this turmoil, I'm in this, okay, but I gave you the solution, you have the solutions, here's different ones, I don't want to tell you what to do, but this could really help, and blah blah.
Mm.
That started bringing me down a lot, because then I started realizing I was carrying that on me, like they can have it so much better, but they're choosing not to. And I had to step back and be like, okay, why is it so important to me that they find these solutions? What am I lacking that I need them to find these solutions, or I need to give them every dime I had, or I need to give them somewhere to live, or, I needed to, have it to where, yeah, I'll watch your kids for you, or yeah, I'll do this for you, or yeah, I'll do that for you, to where I got to a point where I, ate very unhealthy. I treated my body very unhealthy. I put a lot of unhealthy things into my body. And I realized that I was putting these unhealthy things into my body because externally I was surrounding myself with unhealthy situations that I was absorbing versus reflecting or objectively looking at. So what that helped me do was create healthy boundaries, and knowing that whether it's family, children, friends, acquaintances, that it's okay to have those healthy boundaries because they should be respected. If I'm going to respect their boundaries, they need to respect mine. If not, then they'll fall away on their own naturally. I don't need to hold on, but I did that a lot because I lost so much in my life, with a lot of people, a lot of things, a lot of life happened, but doesn't make my story any more worse than anybody else's, because we journey this world knowing that there are things that we're going to clear. And now I can reflect and look at all of that as amazing, beautiful lessons that brought me back to finding my purpose. Finding my way to purpose. That is what I feel. That is what is going to be where I go to next. And that's what's a beautiful thing. And I just want everybody to find the way to their purpose. And if this is how I can help just one onion peel of that, then I am resolute at it. I'm grateful.
I love that. I absolutely love that, because, Nicole, it's funny the feeling I get. I was just saying to Lisa actually during the week, I was saying the stuff that happened to me, say about 3 years ago. And the way it takes time sometimes for the lesson, you to get the lesson, but for the whole thing to really be embodied and get a full understanding of it, sometimes it takes a few years. And like I was saying, like stuff that happened to me about 3 years ago, it's just like now I'm getting to the stage where I'm so happy that happened. Do you ever get that feeling like, like, oh my God, at the time it was so difficult. And now I'm like, thank you, God, for giving me that. Like, you know what I mean? Even though it was like, it wasn't at the time, it was really, really like my life is turned upside down. But now I'm like, thank you so much, but and when you can start to come out of it, but when you get to a stage where you're kind of like okay with it, your acceptance, but then it gets to the stage where you go, oh my God, that was actually the best thing ever happened to me. It's an amazing
everything
feeling.
in my life. Everything in my life, I feel that, because like we talk about with diamonds are created through a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure, just like the same with a butterfly. You're a caterpillar and then you literally die and then you become. So it's the same thing with all of these lessons. When people are like, oh, I just don't want to go through this, blah, blah. I've now come to a point, which I'm grateful for, that I no longer am like, oh, this is just a nightmare. When I'm in it, I'm just like, flow with it, go with it, because it's going to lead you to something greater.
Exactly. And you need
because a rainbow means nothing. Yeah, a rainbow means nothing unless you weathered the storm. If you see a rainbow every day, unfortunately, it's not going to have as much magic as it would if you didn't see the storm first. And that's how I now live my life. And I'm trying to let people see, everybody that I come into contact with, life's not happening to you. It's always happening for you.
Absolutely. That's it. And it completely, like the diamond, that's why we have the diamond weathering, because it's like, it is formed in extreme, immense pressure, like coming down, and there's absolutely nowhere for you to go, only to be transformed into that kind of luminous thing that you were actually designed to be, though. You know what I mean? It was like so intelligent. The way when you get to the stage where you realize like that life has actually orchestrated this exactly to form you the way you were supposed to be formed for a particular purpose.
Yeah, because the pressure is actually, what people don't realize is the pressure is actually on the outside. And it's forming this beautiful diamond internally. So if people can start to even see that's exactly how it's created, which is beautiful that you have the name that you have, because it's exactly true. In the fact that, people are like, I feel all this pressure inside, and it's like, you're being pressured outside in order to break through. So that way the diamond can happen. Because otherwise, if you just lay stagnant and complacent, you're not, you're giving the universe too much to happen to you. At that point, that's when things will start happening to you to push you forward, because you can't stay comfortable. Nobody can get anywhere if we're comfortable all the time. It's in the discomfort, just like with giving birth, is how you create life, right? If it was just easy peasy and it just happened, no, but the joy that you get because you build this human inside of you, and then you go through that pain, it's like this most beautiful feeling inside, knowing I just created life through all of that pain. That's what life is about. You're always birthing something new, always, in every area of your life. And you'll always have midwives around you to help you make sure you're all right.
Whoa, you're giving me the heebie-jeebies, because that's myself and Lisa see ourselves as the midwives for the diamond mothering. And
really? Because that just came to me out of nowhere.
Oh my God, because I was sent that. That was actually, I actually share it with you now, but I was wondering when we met together, just after we met in December, and then over the Christmas we didn't do anything, but the minute we came back in January, we started straight into this. And the two of us were like, we didn't even know each other. We started working into it. It was like, it was time, time for this to be brought together. And it was like, whew, and like both of it's like all your faculties were like, everything was coming together. Like, we have to create something, And I woke up one morning and it was you're midwifing a new age. You're midwifing a new age.
Oh my goodness. That's great. That's beautiful.
Midwifing a new age. I was like, okay. I know, because I have a sense of humor. I was like, okay, when do you want that? By Tuesday, is it? It's like, midwifing a new age. Thanks very much. Should I give me something a little easier than that?
but every woman can relate to that. When you break it down, they can understand that, and men, like, not in a bad way, but they couldn't. But that's where, by us embodying that and seeing that, then in turn, because if we can birth children, we can, even if you physically haven't been able to, you can still mother children. You get what I'm saying? And it's natural. You'll pick it up, because I want women of any background, if they can't birth, if they, can, there's still many children. There's much love, and there's always a purpose for you out there. It may not look how you want it to, but it's out there for you. And the midwife thing is absolutely beautiful, because a midwife is your biggest cheerleader in the scariest moment of your life. And there's no other moment that is going to be scarier than in that moment where you're like, oh my God, I'm about to create a life that I have to take care of, that is going to be before me for the rest of my life. What am I doing? It's beautiful. I'm glad that that's how you guys look at it.
It's amazing that you got that, actually, because that was intuitively, sent to me, because I was asking the questions, what exactly, is it we're doing? And, and I like that. It's so kind of visual, nearly, in the process of, I think that this time, like, it's like the midwifing of the divine feminine. So it's like women birthing themselves, like, into their truth. Like, this is it. This is the moment. And like, we're just either side of you. We're not doing it. We're just here to support you, like, and kind of like bringing that out of you, because it's like something that's inside, but bringing what's inside out, and then that, it's trying to get through the pain and but like you're like cheerleaders nearly as well, like, keep going, because like it's going to be so gorgeous when you get there, you're going to
absolutely, because we're now the women that are in the birth canal. Is really what it's like. Now we're in the birth canal because we're birthing a new way. And I posted something today that came to me, which is beautiful with what you were just saying, which talks about you can't fix or save anybody. All you can do is give them the knowledge to empower themselves.
That's it. Exactly. And it's like takes that responsibility away, like what you were talking about. And I had to go through that very same thing. Like, I had to go through it with a different relationship, but when you have that knowing, you have that awareness, you have that understanding, and you can see, and then it's so difficult when you're empowering the information, but the information isn't going in because the person's not ready. They're not able, they don't have that capacity yet. They haven't had it in themselves. So it takes a long time for you to, or it took me a long time to accept that, but when I accepted it, it's great relief, because then
Yes.
it frees you up then to have more energy, because you go like, that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to make that conscious action that I came here to do. And then it's everybody else's responsibility to embody that themselves, or take the teachings, or to, or be inspired by, or feel the connection to, or resonate with, or, you know, whatever. It's kind of clarity. That's clarity. When, you know, the clarity in the diamond, you know, there's no more fogginess, because you realize that you're doing, all you need to do is do what you were meant to do, your purpose here in this, on this earth at this time. You just do that, and don't worry about anybody else, because as long as you're doing that, you're inspiring others, you're setting it, the super modeling to your younger generations, whatever, and your kids or whatever. And then you're also helping the men, you know, because they're wanting to be with women like that, because they can feel it, like they're like, oh my God, you know what I mean?
They love it.
Yeah, they absolutely love it. And then, you know, because they're like, they're not needy, they're actually confident, they have something to give, you know, they're whole in themselves, you know, and like and also they're really interested in growing still more and more and more, you know. So it's kind of exciting to be around somebody like that, because you never know what's going to happen. You know.
Well, right, because you break down the roles of the man always worked, the woman always stayed home stereotype in essence, because when men start to see that women are empowering themselves and that they're doing all this, it almost gets exciting, and it alleviates them having to be the hard worker. I have to keep straight face, I have to be firm, and it gives them room to be vulnerable, because empowered women empower women. I cannot empower somebody if I'm not empowered. So the inner work journey is so super important in order for us to give to others. Now, I have another beautiful woman that has been very impactful in my life, that she said the other day, she said, you can't speak butterfly language to caterpillar people. And I thought that was so interesting when I heard that. At first I was like, ooh, that's rude. And then I took a second to like sit on it. And I was like, it's true. The more that you're in tune, you're going to get guidance for anybody that you cross paths with, because you're open. You have an open energy source to it. Just because you do doesn't mean that you have to speak on it, but it could be something that you keep in your back pocket for when they're ready. Or you can give them a little piece of it that they can hold on to, whether they understand it or not, and they can save it for later. Because I'll get that guidance a lot with my son's children that will come over. I'll get a connection to somebody who was passed with them, and I'll say, you know, the other day, I'm sorry that you just went through a really hard time. First time I could be meeting this kid, because this just happened a week ago. My son loves it when this happens, when he sees it. But and I'm like, I'm sorry with what you went through, but you were calling out and saying, you know, I wish somebody was here for me. Well, I want you to know that you were surrounded by so and so. And they look at me and they take a second, and then my son's like, yeah, remember when you were upset about this? It was last Saturday. That's what she must be talking about, because my son's got major connections as well. And the great thing about us empowering ourselves is that we're now not afraid when our children are showing gifts like this. We're now wanting to empower that too, which is beautiful, because the age where we were in, we were told to kind of keep that quiet because it was uncomfortable for people. Now we're in a world where it's becoming more of a norm, I guess, or more comfortable with seeing it, that it's helping us to now be able to break an ancestral tie that kept us stuffed down, and being able to embrace our children who have those gifts as well, which goes back to the mother ring, the diamond. I mean, it's
the mother ring. That's exactly what we're trying to do, because like you're clearing up you're clearing up your ancestral baggage within yourself, then you're actually freeing, you're actually giving more powers to the generation behind you, you know, as well. So like I see the more work I do on myself, the clearer my daughter is, like, and she's got, like, they have much more powers. I think like she has much more insight than I have even, you know, like she just
especially when they're young.
Like, and she's really like, and it's amazing, because I was thinking to myself, like, you could see it from an early age, they're 16 now, but from an early age, like how intuitive she was. And she was the one who kind of made me start to look more into myself, because I knew she was nearly mind reading me, like, or energy reading me, you know. And she was mirroring back to me things that weren't so great. And then I realized what was happening. So then I used her as a mirror. So she kind of helped me clear myself. So that's why we're kind of interested in the diamond mother ring, because I think the daughter can unlock it in the mother, you know, if they start to use that.
I love that you said that. No, it's completely true, because I know that for me, my awakening personally took a really huge step having children. And I think for us, because of our ancestral past at this point in time, I don't feel it's going to continue for what I'm about to get to, but was that our children kind of opened us up, because the last thing that we want to do as mothers is have what our families could have done. So we want to change that. So we're going to be more apt to listen to our children and know that, okay, when I was young, people thought that I was lying when I was telling the truth. So even though this can sound bizarre, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, because I want to know, blah, blah, you know, and so forth. So now what we're doing for our children, because again, I look at it as like the feminine energy, because I have 2 boys, and then I have blended a boy and a girl. And I know that with the 2 boys, they actually really opened me up to seeing that I needed to work through my inner turmoil, because they were expressing the same things. And I was like, okay, because I did for a while would be like, why are they acting like this? But you hit the nail on the head when you said that, because I was like, wait a minute, if they're acting like this, then I need to see what it is that I need to break down. And on a daily basis, girl, to this day, no matter how minute or big it is, they are always showing me. But the more that they show me, the more I'm seeing us all shine. And it is absolutely incredible, because then it makes you feel like, as a mother, you did what you were supposed to do. You just unlocked the door. You gave them the key to freedom. So when they then have a family, they're going to be in a place of love, not separation.
Absolutely. And they can see the process that you're doing. It's the opposite process, nearly, you know, it's like the younger ones growing, the older up.
Chills.
You know, and like that's actually what it's supposed to be, you know. And like my mom, I suppose, when I think about it, you know, like I had to kind of do that for her, but realize that that was my path to being sitting here now, being able to do this, because I kind of had to grow her up, you know, that kind of way. And it was like as if I was training her, but really in doing that, I was actually building the muscle within myself to be able to kind of do what I'm doing now, you know, that kind of way. So it's like, you know, understanding that on a deep level, that you're kind of, you can see the unconscious in your parents so clearly, but it needs a parent to be able to allow you to speak that. And so you need to be able to allow the child to have their emotions, to show you what you're not seeing yourself, you know, like to see your shadows, to see the things that, like, they're amazing feedback, you know. You know, they're not,
and they don't even realize it. They don't even realize it, that they're literally a part of making you the best person that you're becoming.
Exactly, you know,
it's amazing.
And like that, it's kind of, when you switch it around, it's like, you know, especially when you were talking about the nuances, when you're kind of talking about developing yourself, sometimes you can't see those scenarios when you're dealing with adults, but when you're in with your children, like, they'll just show you straight away, you know, because they'll just like, mom, you're like, even Lauren was funny, like, you know, she'd say things to me so intuitive, like, you know, years ago, like she'd say, Mom, like, even if you started dressing a little bit like the way you wouldn't normally dress, so Mom, you're kind of becoming you're becoming like a version of who you think you are, you know, that kind of way. You're not really dressing the way you normally dress. You're kind of pretending to be this other person, you know, like, you know. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much, actually, because I was kind of going, you know, like, it's a little nuances, like, it was like, okay, I'm going off the rail here a little bit. I come back again, you know. And it's a real kind of nuanced thing where you kind of even when you're getting to the stage where you're really found your essence and found that diamond, you know, I think there's always like the importance of keep coming back to it all the time. And I think your kids are just like, they're masters at that. They won't let you.
Yeah, don't ever get comfortable because they'll
Yeah,
remind you real quick. Yeah.
it's amazing. It really is. It's fantastic, but the power
It's
of
incredible. Yeah, because it's not always the nicest stuff,
it's never
but
the
it's
nicest stuff.
necessary.
It's never
Right.
nice.
Well, because with adults, you get kind of like, well, you can. I mean, I'm to a point now where I'm getting much better with receiving the constructive criticism. It might take me a second, but I'll always reflect. But with my children lately, so like a few months ago, I felt like there was more combativeness. Recently, I'm noticing we're more like, I'm hearing nicer things.
Yeah.
So I feel like with the nicer things, it's because I'm also projecting nicer. Because I'm shedding so much, and I'm hearing, my firstborn, my Shaden, he fills my soul, but he kills my soul at the same time sometimes. But I'm hearing him being more positive and him being more loving when it comes towards me or towards his brother, or well, that's always going to need work, or towards his girlfriend or something like that. But he's like, Mom, I'm noticing you. I'm noticing this. I'm noticing that. And I just want to blow my eyes out whenever I hear that, because it's beautiful, because you're doing all this work. And of course you want it to be seen, but when you're focused so much on your work, it's almost like, wait, what'd you say? Where did that come from? And it's great. Instead of me being like, hey, do you see that I'm doing this? It's no longer about like, hey, do you see that I'm doing this? It's like, hey, I'm just doing it, and it's being seen. And that's what's beautiful, because we're no longer looking externally for validation. We got the validation internally.
Oh my God.
So when we hear it, it's just an extra, it's an added extra fuel.
So good. That's such an important point. That is such an important point. And actually such an important gauge as well, like always saying to yourself, like, am I still looking for validation outside? Even especially like, even for myself, like when I started doing stuff online, because I'm not somebody who naturally wants to, for me to do this, it's only a calling. I've absolutely no interest of being in the limelight. That's not my personality type. I'm kind of like, sit in the corner and, but I just got this calling that you have to do this kind of thing. So it's been a real journey for me to come out of the come out of the like cave, we'll say, or come out of the comfortness of just being in my own, privacy, I suppose. I'm very happy there. I don't really want to be, but it's like the journey out into the world, and trying to kind of, I've been kind of asked to do so much stuff, and be online so much and stuff like that, that it's something that I suppose the validation wasn't a major thing with me, but it was more like I always question myself, why? Keep asking why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? That kind of way, because I need to have a really, really, really good reason to step out, that kind of way, because I don't want that. I don't need for that, that kind of exterior validation. But other people, it's the opposite. They want the exterior validation, but they still should be asking the question, why are you doing it? Why it? That kind of way. And when you're linking the why to that kind of, there's a deep kind of why, I think, that we all feel within ourselves, like, like yourself, but why are you doing this? What's the purpose? What's connected to your purpose? It's like as if that's the central point of like the cross, like what is the point at which, the inspiration and the groundedness comes to the material world, like, because that's like the inspiration and the down to the groundedness, and then we have the material world, and in the very center is like your truth in here, like where are you present in that, and why are you there? Why are you doing that? So like to hold in yourself in that core, like, always be kind of keeping yourself there is really important, because that's the only foundation that we have to stand on in these times. Like there's no all the structures in society are kind of falling away now, and it's going to be redesigned into a new age. So we need to constantly be kind of asking that question, like, why am I doing this? Well, and coming back to that each day, so that we keep ourselves on that narrow path that, yeah.
that's how you get rerouted. And that goes back to balancing the divine feminine, the divine masculine. And
Yes.
the divine masculine, divine feminine consists of the external and the internal worlds.
Yes.
So that's how it all works together. Like we can't do this alone. So I have, for my entire life, my living has always been involved in being behind the camera kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Whether it was cutting hair, whether it was this, that, any other. But what really helped me branch out was this one woman that really helped me in being like, just get yourself out there. People will love it, this, that, and the other. And then also when things, unfortunately, on the big scale, when, you know, there was a lot of divide, I got very involved in wanting to show support to those who are really hurting on a world scale. So I got very involved in a lot of things that were happening with that. And then I started realizing there is power behind your voice.
Yes.
So why are we quieting it so much? And not everybody may like your voice, but if one person does and you can impact one person, then you change the entire world for one person. So, you know what I mean? So when we try to closet ourselves, I get it. I get like that too, with like, oh my God, should I like, so that's why I ended up doing a shoot myself. So I can know what it's like to get it full circle. And the photographer friends that I have, I swear they're soul members too. They have just let me know, now you can see what it's like to be behind and in front, to let them know the full experience of why it's beautiful to work through the within. So externally you can see this beautiful butterfly or the phoenix. You know, it's beautiful.
That is absolutely gorgeous. And I love that. And because it was funny, you're giving me clarity on that, even because like, I suppose it's probably the masculine side of me that had to be pushed forward, is pushing me out, you know, like, cause you know, like I'm more feminine. So it's like, I need to be pushed out, you know, so it's like, as if stay the way you are, but just be out, be seen more in the world. Where like, I hear some women saying that they feel they have to bring more feminine in. They're out there already, but they want to kind of soften themselves, you know, and have a kind of a softer voice and a softer. They're trying to get more in touch with that. You know what I mean? You know, it is a real balancing, within, isn't it, of those two aspects of ourselves, you know. It's really interesting to look at it like that, you know, because everyone's quite unique, you know, and some people are naturally have no problem putting themselves out. Others, like it within this group as well. That's why I love doing the one-to-ones, that it gives them, once, you know, it builds that muscle. So like once you've done it within the group here, then, you know, people feel like they can maybe go and do it, you know, do a live or go on an interview, or, you know, in public that everybody can see, kind of thing, you know, that it's like, it just builds that muscle. Like first you get yourself, you know, you have to walk before you run, kind of thing, you know. So it's really,
because I've had visions that I'm going to be on a stage with a lot of people in an audience, and it's not going to be me. I'm going to be with others, hence that sister circle table I told you about. And it's going to be in front of lots and lots of people. That of course scares you to death when you haven't even done anything live before, is when I first got it. And then it happens more and more. But then, like I said, when those times happen, I stepped into it more because I embody a lot of feminine energy. So for me, because if you think about it, feminine energy for a long time was very quiet, secluded, covered. Masculine energy had to be work hard, had to be in your face, had to be public, had to be, you know, whatever. So in reality, we need that in order to step out. Even though I say like the feminine energy, we go first and then the guys follow, and it's still true, but by embodying that masculine energy, it gives us the strength to do that, but do it with a softer heart, or do it with that love light energy.
Yes, exactly. That's it. And that's what's so exciting. I think it's so, and it's so, I suppose it's kind of, I think it brings more women out when they see that. You know, I notice that, like, I get lovely feedback from people, because I think it's slowly kind of like, it's like, as if, I always think it's like in Flourish by Design, I have the rose, you know, and it's like the rose bud, blossom and flourish. So I always think like, it's like women are kind of blossoming into themselves. And it's like, you know, the way in a meadow, when you see there's always like one kind of bloom that blooms first, and then there's a second one, a third one, but then
Oh,
eventually
like a
like
domino effect.
the whole place, the whole field or meadow is just full of these absolutely beautiful flowers all in full bloom, so that's what I have in my head. It's just like just one or two or
Hmm.
three might come first, but they help the rest of them to start to blossom, like, and then everybody will be kind of bloom into, it's more exponential growth. Because I get this feeling, I keep saying about the tsunami of, inspirational, innovate, intuitive in innovation that needs to come, because it needs to come from the kind of feminine force. And that means like it's kind of going to
Hmm.
be so unbelievably creative, but it's going to be coming from inspiration and intuition. And that's going to have a massive power because it's going to have a huge ripple effect. It's not just going to be like people talk about the ripple effect. To me, I feel like it's coming in with a force, like just watch out, because like the force that women, that creative force that women have, when we unlock that, it's just so unbelievably powerful. It's just going to be like this explosion, and it's that's what the feeling I get this year. I don't know if you can feel that this energy this year is like
Oh, without a doubt.
unreal.
Without a doubt. Because we had 2000, and you got to think is when the root, we were creating roots. And 2001 was when it was starting to come up. And now 2000, well, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
2021,
yeah,
2022. Now 22 is the buds coming on. And it's funny that you said that, because there's not a client that I don't tell them that you're going to create a domino effect. Just a client I had today, I say it every time. I'm like, because you came in here, because you took the steps to do this for you, you're empowering other women. There's going, even if it's just one,
yes,
is going to be curious about this whole idea of what this process is like because you did it. And it goes the same on the collective level. Like we're raising high in consciousness, and there are a lot of us who are now anchored in at this higher consciousness. And now what we're here to do is by living in our power and anchoring in our power, it's almost like a magnet, and everybody else is going to come and anchor in with us.
yeah,
And the more that they try to fight that magnet,
yeah,
the more that disruption is going to happen,
yeah,
to force it to be like, just let go.
yeah,
Because eventually you can only hold on to a rope for so long before you just got to fall, right?
yeah,
Well, guess what? When you fall off that rope this
yeah,
time, you got us pulling you right up like a
yeah.
magnet.
Exactly. We're here to catch it. We're like, I think the people who
Hmm.
are doing it on their own, we're kind of like, I definitely think it's taken longer and maybe more decades. Like I'm 7 years, like since I suppose I got that calling to study it, or, I suppose I always had a
Same.
connection, but it was kind of like, it's nearly 8 years now, actually. I'm thinking I'm 48 on the 3rd of March when the first teaching comes out, but it's where I do feel like women that start this journey now, it's just going to be accelerated because of the work that's been
Exactly.
done already, because the energy is
Yep.
just like so, it's really creative,
Because
like,
we cleared so much. We
yeah,
cleared so many things, and we did it internally. We did it at a time when we didn't have these platforms.
yeah,
So it was a matter of being like, okay, I have to make this conscious decision to do this.
yeah.
And once you're woke, you can't get unwoke.
No, this
It
is
just
it.
keeps coming at you.
There's no
Because
going back.
well, before I turned 30, I went to go see somebody about my mother. And it was very, very crazy for me because my mom passed when she was 30. So I had somebody at the time who was only there for, I had a lot of lessons I learned from this one. And I had to also learn that people come in for a season, but they come in for a reason. Well, I met with somebody and they told me a lot of stuff in regards to what was going to happen. And from that point on, that year, I ended up getting separated from my husband. I went through a divorce. We went through a really, really hard time, but I was, guided and told that I had, my twin flame out there, and that my ex-husband was going to be with somebody who had a boy and a girl, and he's still with them to this day, and they're a
Wow.
beautiful family. And, my kids are happier. But had I not had that experience of a woman to be able to open me up to that,
Yeah.
no matter if they were good for me for long term or not, they connected me to the person that was able to help me connect it. We connect the dots for each other. I've
it.
always said we're all puzzle pieces
Yes.
shaped completely different, but only all fit together.
Oh my God, that's one of my thinkings as well. You know, that kind of way, definitely. And I even think with the male and the female, you know, that there is a particular. I love to hear that you're engaged and you found a gorgeous guy. You know, because I think of that as well. That once you've done that work, you'll find that puzzle piece that just fits particularly uniquely into you. You know, but it's not that you're holding yourself, they're holding themselves, but you just click in right, and that fits in the larger picture of things. You know, so it's like, you know, there's
The more we connect, the more the puzzle comes together.
I love that. I absolutely love that, because I always think that you know, it helps me see the big picture, because I'm a big picture thinker. But I always kind of think like, once people do that work, they, you know, everything just kind of slots in, and it's that gorgeous feeling of that kind of, you know, like, it's just that knowing, you know.
Yeah, everything starts in pieces. And in order for me to create my puzzle piece, I had to do my internal my internal work to know what my puzzle piece was even going to look like, let alone what it was going to fit to. But the crazier thing is that my twin that I'm with now, he lived next to us for 5 years. He was married to somebody else. I was married to somebody else. We didn't even meet until once I separated, and he ended up, you know, my ex-husband ended up seeing who he was seeing. I saw somebody for a small period of time, but that person that I saw linked me to him because he gave him work. And then it was first time we met, it was like, why are you looking at each other like that? We don't know, you know, and it just was one of those things. That the pieces started sticking, and we were friends for a long time because we had stuff that we had work on. But what was crazy was he really showed me that mirror that you were talking about with your daughter too, in that self-reflection, because when he would show it, I'd get some kind of way, but then we would talk about it and be like, oh wait, I'm that kind of way. So let's work through this, because with the twin aspects, you will be pulled apart to work on your things as individuals, because the whole goal is to not need somebody. It's to want somebody. Because when we need, it's, you're putting too much pressure on that person to give you validation. And I'll tell you too, like over the past couple of years, I met my soul sister I had mentioned to you about, and she really opened me up to being comfortable with expressing these gifts. She really, really helped me in being comfortable and expressing that, as well as he did. But as a woman, Sydney really opened me up. She was like that first person that wasn't there to hurt me, to use me, that I felt like I had to fix. She just let me be vulnerable. And for that, more women started popping up because I opened myself into letting that in. And I did for her as well. You know, we gave each other that safe place to where it created those flowers, that domino effect, as you were saying, of where other women, just like-minded women, find like-minded women, find like-minded women, to a point where there's no unlike women. Like, we're all like-minded. And it's beautiful, because by you doing these videos like you're doing, even though you may not have wanted to, you're showing women who may have felt it, they're seeing it. And you're bringing, what you're bringing is that masculine, that feminine together, because you're bringing what was internally a thought externally by doing this, and letting them see other women who they can relate to. And the more we can relate to each other, the more likely we are to not separate anymore, but to integrate into this new consciousness.
Exactly. And once we connect, the connection is always there. You know, that's why I say, I feel like whenever somebody, it's like, oh, I found that another piece, and you find another piece, and I can feel like, I feel like a commander of an army, to be quite honest, like, because I know that's why I've been put in the position, like, okay, I have to be like the creative director of this, like, okay, she's to do this, she's to do that, she has a role here, somebody else has another role there. It's like, you can see, like, I suppose because I was trained that way as well, but I was trained, actually, I worked, it's funny when you talk about the masculine and feminine, because I worked actually with a lot of men up to the age of 30. I was with a lot of men. So I'm actually, it was kind of, my dad, well, very close to my dad. I had 2 brothers, and then I worked as a top senior designer in corporate world, and I was the only female designer at 24, in a team of all men. And so I'm so comfortable with men, because I've kind of that logical mind as well as a creative mind. So I've kind of both, you know, that kind of way. So it's like, as if now it's like, I can see why life's using me, you know, to do this, because I can kind of go, okay, she's great at this. We need her here, need her there, need her here. You know, this kind of
Absolutely.
way. It's like allocate them to exactly what they. So it's like you can feel that the specific talents and strengths that person has. So then you know where to put them. You know, that kind of way. It's like, or even to guide them, say like you should be doing this, or like you could be going here, or you know, you'd be brilliant at this, or you know what I mean. You can kind of like,
Exactly.
yeah,
You're empowering them unapologetically too,
yeah,
because you're
but it's
not
very
trying to,
direct, you know, it's very direct. And
yeah,
I'm very kind of blunt and direct about things like that. Like, so like I just like, you're doing this, or you have to write that book, or you have to do this. So it's like, it's just, there's no fuzziness, you know, it's just like that. It's
that's
knowledge.
because you're completely aligned. You're in tune.
Yeah, you know, so it's like, it's interesting because I noticed these times, and this year it's coming in like that so much, like that it's just all these women coming, they're coming to me, but I'm like, you have to do this, you have to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, you know, and it's very action orientated, where like
Yes.
before
Forward movement.
spirituality before was like kind of check out. It's not check out
Mhm.
anymore, girls. It's check in. It's big time check in.
Go time.
Yeah, it's go
Yeah.
time. Yeah, it's like you've been doing that now. It's go, 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 go. Let's go, you know? And it's just, yeah, so it's really exciting. It's really amazing to have you in kind of in the group, and you know, connected. And if you'd like to do an interview on the mental health warriors and step it up another notch, I
Throw me in, coach.
yeah, great. Because I think we need to get you
Throw
out
me
there,
in.
girl.
Hey, I'm okay with that, because the
Yeah.
more that we can empower people, I mean, we
Yeah.
have good intention, our energy is open, we're in a state of love, and I feel that that will reach the masses. However it's meant to, I am open to it and I am ready for it.
Okay,
And
brilliant.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Okay. Oh, fantastic, Nicole. So definitely we're putting you out there.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it's amazing, amazing to connect with you. And I know you're going to be on the webinar tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, isn't it? Thursday. If you've registered, I think, haven't you, for the Diamond Mothering webinar?
I believe so.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
So
now I'll
that's-
double check, but I'm pretty sure
yeah,
I did.
yes, you did it. Yeah. So if you're there, if not, if you can't make it in person, you get a recording. Anyway, so whoever registers, you can make, if you can't make it live, it'll be sent to you, and it'll be sent to you anyway as a recording as well, so you can have it, you know, just to look back on, you know, that kind of way. So that's
Absolutely.
yeah. So thanks so much. I just absolutely love that, and I'll be in touch about the next interview. Okay.
Let's change the world, lady. I'm ready. Let's do this. Thank you so much for having me. This is a beautiful, beautiful thing that you're doing, and I'm grateful to be a part of it in any way.
Oh, thanks, Nicole. And lastly, could you just give people your contact details for, you know, your website, or how they could get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So I have two different things. I have Make Up Your Power. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm out there. I have a Google business page, www.makeupyourpower. It's all one word. .com, and it's all spelled exactly as it sounds. And then I also have at Make Up Your Power for all of those links that you can find me on. And I also have Soul Love Evolution, which is another space where I bring more of my spiritual aspects. I'm there for any kind of guidance that people may need, any channeling. That is on Facebook. And I also have a YouTube channel for both of those as well.
Amazing. Oh my God. So ladies, avail of all of that. Like, Nicole is just so talented and so insightful and so connected. So amazing to have you, your company, and I've loved every second of it, Nicole. And only the start of our
me
friendship.
too. I know, and we can't stop talking. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's like we just left off where we picked up kind of a thing, like from past incarnates. Who knows? But
that's it. That's the energy.
I'm stuck with you now, girl.
Yeah,
I'm like, stuck with you, girl.
Yeah, I'm delighted that you're stuck with me.
Yes, I love it. And I am so appreciative of this space. Thank you so, so much. And I will talk with you soon, lady.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.